Hi, I'm Susan Caruso, the founding director of Sunflower Creative Arts, and you're listening to the Sunflower Bridge podcast, where we talk all about being with children.
And my name is Lindsey Mills. I'm the co-creator of Sunflower Bridge. Take a breath and smile with us.
Today we're talking about the arts. We are all about play, nature, and the arts. And so it is a very important piece of what we do and who we are as human beings. So when Lindsey and I were talking about this, we thought, well, what is meant by the arts?
Right.
What do we mean when we say the arts? And so it's not just painting or drawing or visual arts. It's all of the visual arts. It's sculpture. It's installations. It's light. It's
Performance
sound.
art.
Yeah, all kinds of performance art. It's all kinds of music and sound and opera and theater, drama, improv. All of the movement things, all the creative movements.
Right,
So,
not even just dance,
Right.
but also just creatively moving your body.
and then all of the written arts, right? Plays that are written and literature and
Poetry and short films.
and long films.
Yes.
All of those things. So we want to really clarify that the arts, we really mean the arts. And as human beings, we are all about expressing ourselves through the arts, especially when we're children. If you notice, children are just little art machines. They're doing something. They're making up their own songs. They're humming. They're moving their bodies. They're creating things that have never been created before. They're amazing. And so to have the freedom of expression through the arts, we start out like that as children.
Yes.
And so we want to protect that, and we want to make lots of space for that.
And I think that the way that I've come to think about it from my own childhood and my time at Sunflower is that life can be lived artfully. There are these formal arts that we can talk about and dive into, of course, and become specialized in certain areas of art. But ultimately, we all are here on the planet with this creative impulse. And it's really just a matter of what medium you're choosing at any given moment.
And that we all need it. It's how those things can be said and shown, that no words or anything else can share that. We really felt that a lot, I think, first during 9/11. I just remember Yo-Yo Ma went and played somewhere at the site probably, and that said more than anything else on the planet. I've played the flute at funerals and things like that, and that brings up all of the emotion and says more than anything else can say. So the arts are so important. We want, who said that only the professionals get to be the artists?
Right.
Or the
Why do they
professional
get to have all the fun?
Right. Creativity is for everyone. And I think that our society tends to value those professionals and belittle ourselves when it's really they're the few. There are gifted, talented people that like Yo-Yo Ma that
Yes.
can do something that nobody else can do. But we all have that within us, and it's a gift of how we can express ourselves for sure.
We each have something unique to offer.
Yeah. So for me, I did paint and do things like that as a child, but I've said it before. My artistic expression, my expression, my voice came from learning to play the flute.
Yeah.
And it really gave me such a strong voice. I didn't have a voice at all until when I was a child, and I think that inside me I knew I was like driven to play that instrument. It just spoke to me so much, and it has been, it's been a real gift to me on so many levels, and the kinds of things that you can do, and I know you've had these kinds of experiences too. I just remember playing out on a lake in Wisconsin. We went on a sailboat, and it was, I just love sailboats, and it was the first time I was really on a sailboat. And they had asked me to bring my flute, and I can't remember if they asked me to, or if I thought, let me bring my flute and be out there on the lake, and I played. And it was just the most amazing thing that, the feeling and the oneness that I felt with, like, the whole universe. Because you could just see the stars, and the loons were out there on the lake calling. And I was just playing, like, improvising things. And I played some Bach. And it was just one of those really special times. So my voice and being a musician has given me the courage to do a whole lot of other things, because one of the things about the arts is you can't do it for them. You can't take somebody's hand and paint for them.
Sure.
You can't play an instrument for them. You can't act that part. You can't write that. It just comes from you. You can gain skills and all of that, but it just comes from you. Mm-hmm. And that builds a lot of confidence and an understanding of yourself, too. So that idea of living artfully.
Yes.
I love that.
Definitely. Yes. Yeah. And I think we limit the ways that we can experience creativity by putting these titles on the art forms. And cooking can be artful. Sports are an artful form of movement. Singing in the car or in the shower, even if you hope that nobody hears you, that is a form of artistic expression.
Yeah, all of it.
Yeah.
Science is art. Art is science.
Mm-hmm.
Many people feel like that numbers and all of the things that go along with numbers is very artful. Mm-hmm. So it is. It's kind of like if it's human, it's going to be artful.
Yeah.
And
and I just recently picked up Dungeons and Dragons, and I am feeling so inspired because it's this new medium for self-expression. It's storytelling, it's character building, it's world building, and I'm a full-grown woman, and I still get a kick out of learning something new and being curious, and so...
Yeah, I just recently got my hair cut and styled for the first time in years, and I'm, the hairdresser that I went to is a dear friend of mine and a former Seedlings mom, and she was showing me, I noticed that she had these beautiful, interesting cups that she creates with little beads and things. And she says, I always, and here she is, she's creating with hair, already. Definitely. But she said, I always have to have a creative project, some little project that I'm doing. That helps me to feel alive. And it also relaxes me and calms me down and gives me a different perspective on things. So it's all of those things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're all born artists. Mm-hmm. There's a great Picasso quote where he says something about artists are always just trying to get back to being children. So that raw expression that we have that bubbles up within us, for sure.
Yeah. And we want to invite this perspective on the arts that you do not need to be a professional or classically trained or have even a modicum of training to be an artist and to make art.
Right, really, most definitely. So if we think about our little elements of time and space and permission and language, we do this all the time because of Sunflower. We're thinking about it all the time, but how can you promote or shift the mindset around the arts at home? And a lot of it is just, giving some creative thinking. We need to get outside every day. We need to have breakfast every day. We need to have some creative time every day. You as adults need that so much too. So how can you do that? And maybe you can't do it every day, but think of starting in a tiny little bit, a few moments, a little corner, as Bev Boss used to say. Make some changes just in one little corner of your life, and to make some time for creativity, and space. You need to have some space. If you've got a drummer in your midst, who's an evolving drummer in any way, they need some space where they're not going to disturb people, where they can feel free just to do it, and everybody's not telling them to be quiet. Writers need quiet spaces. They don't want to have any noise. So where do you find that for them? And then and lots of times we just need open space to have that creativity come to us, like being out in nature. Nature itself, all of nature is art, and inspiring in all of the ways.
Yes.
Permission, I think it's really important that we do each choose our own, that we're not, somebody else's, art isn't imposed on us. I know my sister a lot of us were musicians. Actually, all of my other three siblings, two of them were also musicians. So my mother played the piano, and my sister tried all of those things, and that didn't work for her. Her art became sport. She is an amazing basketball player, an amazing tennis player. Now she kayaks, and she birding. Birding is an art.
Yes.
So she found her voice in all of those things, and didn't need to have our music thrust upon her.
Yeah, and I think that for me, the permission is to be curious and to follow your own curiosity rather than having something coerced.
Right, and we're going to talk about this in another podcast, but the idea, lots of times we as parents feel like, oh, I wanted to do that, so I'm going to make sure that my child has that opportunity. So we'll talk about that more in another one about formal lessons. But, the idea of just, let's just talk about language, just to be very careful not to put any judgments into things. So you can have a child who loves to play the trombone, and in the early years when they're playing instruments or they're doing things like that, it's not going to sound so pretty. And so for you to be really careful that there's no judgments, that it's just all, open and loving and accepting of all of the things, and you can be creative in your ways to find things about those expressions that are speaking to you.
And as we've said in previous episodes too, that we emphasize process over product, and so every art form, one of the many art forms that we've named in this conversation, you can have the space to explore the materials or the environment of that chosen medium, and there need not be a specific outcome in mind. There doesn't need to be a recital to display the performance. There doesn't need to be a ceremonial hanging of the framed painting on the wall. There's no real pressure to create a product at the end of it. We want to encourage you to explore process and to make that the aim of having some creative time rather than walking away with a finished product.
Right, absolutely. So just messing around with things, making that time, letting it bubble up. is really what we're asking.
Yeah, because that's who we are. We were all born to create and express ourselves through the arts.
Well said.
Thank you so much for joining us today. You can share your thoughts, feelings, or stories about being with children with us. You can send us an email at lindsay@sunflowercreativearts.org or send us a message on Instagram at sunflowercreativearts.
Yeah, let us know how you like these live podcasts and the video podcasts. If you have any suggestions of how we can make it better for you, let us know.
The Sunflower Bridge podcast is kindly sponsored by Schweitzer Musical Productions.
See you next time.